So how do you get to that level where you can just be so nimble and flip on a dime and not have that emotional attachment?
Well, I mean, the first thing, of course, is like they say, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, right? So you definitely have to practice, and that it's going to take time. I think that's another thing that those who start trading, trading is there's no real barrier to entry. You open an account, and you're a trader. Now imagine if you could just become a doctor, just go and sign up, and next thing you know you're operating on people. There'd be a lot of dead people in the operating room, right? But for some reason, we think that trading shouldn't be as hard as learning to be a doctor or a lawyer or an athlete. A baseball player doesn't just become a major league baseball player and start hitting 300, right? They start off in little league and then play college ball and go to the minor leagues, and if they're lucky enough, they become an MLB player, right? Well, there's no difference. This is matter of fact, I think this is a tougher business than all those that I just explained, that I just mentioned. I think this is one of the toughest businesses you can possibly try to, to get into and to master. So, again, just, really, you're going to have to do a lot of practice, and you need another thing I recently talked about and I tweeted, and that is a lot of people, and my assistant was one of them for years. He used to always say to me, a lot of people watching this probably know Bob. Bob's been with me for 15 years, my right hand man, my assistant. And he used to always, try to figure out he said, what shouldn't I do here? Or what's the, well, what should I not see in the stock? He always want to try to figure out all the things not to do and how things go wrong and try to avoid all these mistakes. It's just the opposite. You wouldn't go and study the losers in the Olympics, all the people who lost, and say, what should I not do? You would study the guy who won gold, right? You want to see the gold, the silver, and the bronze medalists and see what they did and get very specific on those few things that are really important to master. There's only a couple ways to do things really correctly, and there's a million ways to do it wrong. So, and this goes right back to O'Neill's philosophy of stocks. We're looking at the best performing stocks. We're looking at what are the characteristics of a winner. You want to do the same thing with stock traders and find what are the best stock traders, emulate them, and then practice and see to bridge that disconnect. Where are you compared to David Ryan? Where are you compared to a trader that you're trying to emulate? Take a look at that gap and then fill that gap and get closer. Then once you can emulate someone who's doing really well, then maybe, at that point you can start adding your own expertise and flavor into it. But, first we usually imitate first before, when I was, if you're a golfer, you're watching your favorite golfer, when I was a kid, played baseball, I used to emulate my favorite, I used to stand and bat like my favorite batter. And, you copy others that you admire and inspire you.
And it does take time. I mean, even though I was working at William O'Neill and Company, I started in 1982. It wasn't until 1985 that I really got, I got the hang of what I was supposed to do. But that was going through blowing up an account. I doubled an account and I lost it all back and more. And I finally sat down and said, what did I do wrong? And I studied all my mistakes. I studied my winners, and I tried to get back to what rules work. And those are the rules that we lay down here almost every day. And so it takes time, and I think, Mark, you've said it took you almost 5 years to get profitable.
Yeah.
So, sometimes you got to make mistakes. And usually the best traders I've ever read about usually at some point have a period where they blow up and they finally get hit in the head, and they finally sit down and say, what am I doing wrong? And how do I correct my mistakes? And then they go on to big gains in the market. But it does take time, and it does take a lot of pain too.
I think we need to listen to what David just said. I mean, just listen to what he said. 82 to 85, right? It took him 3 years, blew up his account, and this is being the right hand man and the protege of one of the greatest traders of all time. So don't be hard on yourself if you don't get this in a year or two.
A lot of it is actually studying yourself and studying your own trades, so you can see where you're going right and where you're going wrong, because it's the pain of a loss that really helps you start using the rules that work, that Bill has laid down, and cutting those losses. And so I think a lot of it is, a lot of people have said, hey, maybe I could just sit next to you for days and see what you do. But a lot of it is within your own mind. What are you thinking about? Why did you put that trade on? And that's what's so good about doing the post analysis, is so you can go back and study yourself, because finding out what stocks to buy and which direction the market is going is not that hard. It's really the battle between yourself. It's you against yourself in breaking rules and not breaking rules and staying the course. That's what it comes down to, because with all the stuff that we've got and MarketSmith, you can find out what the leaders are and get aboard them, but it's really studying yourself to know where you're making your mistakes to correct them.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching Investors Business Daily on YouTube. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.